So maybe for the last 20 something years you've been caring for the children, your focus has been on the family, they're now gone and you're left with that empty feeling. I have with me today Tim Sharp, Dr. Happy. Welcome, Dr. Happy.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So tell me, how does someone in that position find a purpose, a direction?
Well, probably the same way that anyone would find purpose or direction, but for someone in your particular audience, it might actually be refinding something. So there's a couple of ways you can go about it. You can refine a passion or a purpose that you had in previous years that you somehow lost or forgotten about, or you can start afresh, and that's kind of up to you depending on whether you had something before. But it's important to ask yourself a few questions, like what sort of legacy do I want to leave? How do I want to be remembered by other people?
Yeah.
And hopefully the answers to those questions will provide some direction that you can then follow through with. But yeah, we get people to paint a positive picture of the future, and they can actually paint or draw that if they're artistically inclined, or write it down, write a short essay. Sometimes we get people to write a letter back to themselves from the future. So imagine yourself 5-10 years ahead, and your life's fantastic, everything's going great. You write a letter back to yourself. What would you say? What are you doing differently? What's your life like that it's not like now? And by doing a combination of those sorts of things, people can get some clarity, which is very important.
And how important are values? How would that fit in with that?
Very much so. So values are at the heart of purpose and meaning. So again, it comes back to priorities and what's important. If you value family and relationships, then are you actually living a life that's consistent with that? If you value giving and sharing and helping others, what are you doing to contribute in some way? So yes, values are very, very important, and they provide, they're almost like our rudder, and they provide the direction, or hopefully help keep us on track, so we do the sorts of things we need to do or want to do to live a good life.
Okay, and is there anything specifically you can do to help people find, because sometimes people really wonder what their values are?
Yeah, that's a good question. But I think if people probably just go into the internet and Google values or life values, they'll probably find a list, and that's a good starting point. I guess the caveat is I'd say don't limit yourself to them, because there's going to be a generic, general sort of list.
And so how important is creating a rollout of those values? And
well, very important. Values, purpose, meaning, direction, all of that's important, but it's actually not going to lead to happiness if you don't then live a life that's consistent with that. I have a concept that I talk about, particularly in an organisational context, but it's relevant in other areas as well, called behavioural integrity. And that means behaving in a way that's consistent with your values, with your purpose, your meaning. I've worked, unfortunately, with people who say family is important, but they spend 60 hours in the office. They say giving is important, but they keep postponing it, putting it off until when I have more money or whatever, or more time. Now, there's obviously reasons for that, but I think if you really want to live a good life, it's not just enough to have purpose and meaning or values. You need to do that, and you need to do it on a regular basis, pretty much on a daily basis.
Great advice, and thank you very much for contributing today. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.